guests and fellow Toastmasters. Good evening. My name is Chiran and I am the Sergeant at Arms for this esteemed club. I welcome you all to the meeting number 1360. So before we commence the meeting, I request all of you to put your phone on silent mode. So I'll give you 10 seconds to do it. Okay, so whenever you are called on stage, restrain yourself from speaking about sex, religion or politics. So when some speaker finishes his speech, then you can just enter the exit and exit the room whenever there is applause going on. Okay, so moving on to today's theme, the power of imagination. The power of imagination. So I have a memory to share. So that a few years back, so I was working in a startup. So where I didn't get ample amount of time to concentrate on my self-improvement, as well as the workload was very heavy. So I even, in terms of that, I even lost my self-confidence. So at that time, so I came across a concept called the conscious and the subconscious mind, from a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. So then it says that whenever you see something, like it may be a fan or a light, so it is not manifested once, it is manifested twice, once in your memory and the once in the physical world. So the same thing, whenever you apply positively, so that will reach you, like you will see that the changes in your life. So what I started is I started doing 3 simple things. One, professionally, where I tried to find a better workplace, and the second one is health-wise, where I started going for a gym, and the third is to build a community or a network, where I being a part of a community or a network. So I followed it followed it disciplinely, and now where I get it is a different thing. So I am working on an organization, mid-scale organization. Still I get ample of time where I can improve on my skills, and where whatever my interest is, that I can put my effort on. The second one is like my physical condition that has dramatically improved. So where my fat percentage has gone below, and means moderate, and then that is the thing. The third one is like Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Today I am standing here and speaking in front of you. So this is a major contribution from Bangalore Toastmasters Club, because I have never done a public speaking before, and I don't know, even I have never given a presentation and all those things. So similarly, so I request all of you to think positively and reap the power, reap the what do we say? The benefits of the power of imagination. So moving on to this, so there is one gentleman who thinks that he dreams big and he follows it disciplinely. That we can see that where that has got him right now. So upon joining 1 year from Bangalore, this Bangalore Toastmasters Club, he is leading the VP education right now, which is the second most in the ExCom committee, the second most top spot or something where you can take it. So he calls himself fat. So doesn't mean he'll come here and you will see that. So it means a different meaning. So it means he trains people in finance, tax and assessments. So that's what. So please put your hands together to welcome our presiding officer for today, Toastmaster Shashank.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
Welcome to the legendary Bangalore Toastmasters Club. I call to order meeting number 1360. Any first-time guests amongst us? Yes, sir. Can you please stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us what brought you to Bangalore Toastmasters Club?
From Delhi. My boss, he's at a
welcome. Can we give them a big round of applause? The minutes of the previous meeting, 1359, was shared by secretary over mail and WhatsApp. Any amendments to the same?
No.
If not, I pass meeting minutes of meeting 1359. Before I begin, I want all of you to close your eyes for a minute. We have a small activity planned. Request all of you to please close your eyes. Imagine you in your 80s. Imagine you in your 80s holding your spouse's hand, walking along with your grandchildren in a nice park, looking at each other, smiling at each other. You can talk to them also in your imagination. So please open your eyes. What did I observe? Almost half of you had a nice smile on your face. Right? You could see many people with a nice smile when you thought about you holding your spouse's hand, with your grandchildren, walking in the park. Why do we do this? I'll come back to this a little later. How many of you know Steve Harvey here? Steve Harvey? Rahul, can you tell others who Steve Harvey is?
He's a television host. He hosts I forgot the name of the show, but it's broadcasted in the US, and he's the host.
Okay. Do you know Steve Harvey had stammering and stuttering issues? When he was in school, he could not even utter words properly. When he opened his mouth, if someone asked what is his name, what is your name, he would say, no. Where are you from? Words were not flowing out of his mouth. He was ridiculed at school. He was ridiculed at college. But he never gave up. He wrote on a piece of paper, I will be a TV host one day. Now, if he had told this to anyone, they would have laughed their donkeys off. But he never gave up. He didn't think about the stammering and stuttering. He had one hope that he should be a TV host one day. And eventually, he became a TV host. And we could not even observe a single stammer or stutter when he speaks now. I personally can relate to Steve Harvey. How many of you know I have stuttering and stammering issues? You didn't observe, but I do. But I never focus on that. I always think when I come here, for example, I was sitting there before my first speech as presiding officer today. I was sitting there. I just closed my eyes for 20 seconds. I imagined myself speaking here. Imagine myself giving a very good speech. Imagine myself going out with a nice smile on my face that I did justice to the role today. And voila, here I am. Full confidence, full motivation as the first presiding officer of, my first role as presiding officer this term. Even I was ridiculed at school. People used to call me Shasha Shashank. Because I used to say, Mama, my name is Shashank. But again, just like Steve Harvey, I never gave up. I never thought about the stammering or stuttering issues itself. Because the more we think, it will never let us go. It will stay along with us. So the more we think about something, we attract it. It's called the law of attraction. If you think positive, positive stuff happens. If you think only negative, we attract negative energy, and we always have something negative with us following through. Right? There was this study by University of Chicago. There were 3 sets of students who were asked to practice a game of basketball. The first set of students were asked to practice it on court, free throws to the basketball court for 1 full month. The second set of students were asked not to practice at all. They were just like me. The third set of students were asked to practice, but with their imagination. They only had to imagine and not practice physically. Surprisingly, after a month, when the results were checked, when they were asked to practice, show their skills, the first set of students who actually practiced, their efficiency went up by 24%. The second set of students who didn't practice at all, their efficiency remained the same. Whereas the third set of students who just imagined throwing the ball, their efficiency increased by 23%, just 1% less than the people who practiced throughout the month. So what do we understand from this? The power of imagination. I follow a simple process. Whenever life pulls me down, whenever I am put into a tough situation, just close my eyes and imagine something positive. Worrying doesn't make the situation better, will it?
No.
You're worried, you're tense. If you think about that again and again, it doesn't make your life better. It doesn't make the situation better. I simply close my eyes, I think of something. Even yesterday, when I had a class to attend, I finished my class, I was too stressed at 2, it was a hectic day. I was sitting in a hotel waiting for the masala dosa to arrive. I was just sitting there, just closed my eyes, thought about my first ever car, which is a BMW. I don't have it yet, but my first car will be a BMW. So when this happens, I thought about BMW car and opened my eyes, I'm back to normal. Now the exercise which we did some time back, why is it relevant? Next time when you are put in a tough situation, when life brings you down, just close your eyes and think about the same situation with your spouse, hand in hand, chatting with them in the park, with your children, with your grandchildren, looking around the park, giggling and talking with them. That is what life is all about. At the end of the day, what are we doing? We are working our lives off just to lead a happy, peaceful, retired life with our close ones. So next time, I'll practice this. I'm sure you also could practice this. Just sit back, relax, close your eyes, think about that imagination which we did some time back, and you will see the difference. That is the power of imagination. The next person to come on stage, the MC or the Toastmaster of the day, he believes in the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. His quote, dream is not what you see when you sleep. Dream is something that doesn't let you sleep. He follows that. 8 years ago when he was in college, he imagined being a business strategist. And today, he is on the path of becoming a successful one. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Aditya Srivastava.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
That's better. How are you all doing this evening? Doing good? Good? Good. My name is Aditya, and I'm going to be your Toastmaster of the day this evening. Pondering upon the theme for today's session, the power of imagination, let me take you all back to the year 1999. Two nobodies went to an industry veteran investor, John Doerr, requesting funds for their website company. Okay. Doerr, being an industry veteran and having had worked with Intel in its peak growth phase in the 70s, knew what everything was. He thought at best that the page algorithm that these two nobodies are bringing is gonna be worthwhile, but it's not gonna be catastrophic. So he asked these two nobodies a very simple question. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Okay, he asked this question, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Now Doerr, as I just said, was a veteran. He knew that the company at max can do $1 billion in revenue with a market cap of 10 billion. But guess what? What did these two nobodies answer? They answered $10 billion. To which Doerr thought, maybe these guys are talking about the market cap and not the revenue, because 10 billion is ethereal, right? He, just to confirm, asked this, you mean the market cap, right? To which he was shockingly answered back, no, we mean the revenue. The two nobodies that I'm talking about are none other than Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Now, by this time you all know what company I'm talking about. These two people back in 1999 claimed that they would do $10 billion in revenue, a market cap of $100 billion, a space at the time, mind you, was enjoyed by only a handful of companies. There was IBM, Intel and Microsoft. So imagine this, it's 1999, two nobodies. Sergey Brin was a Russian immigrant. He was so enthusiastic that he would actually drop and do push-ups in an actual meeting. There was Larry Page. He was an engineer's son. He was very confident, very nonconformist, but he was still new to the industry. These two people come and say that we are going to clock $10 billion in revenue in next 10 years. A proposition which would have felt to any logical person ethereal in its approach, right? But we all know, and history is evident of this fact, that what they had thought in 1999 is ballistic today. Do you guys know how much revenue does Google clock in 1 year? Any guesses? Any guesses? I'll tell you. It is $256 billion in 1 year. Do you know how much market cap does that mean? $1.26 trillion as of date. Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you know how many zeros are there in a trillion? That exactly there is the power of imagination. A vision, something similar, envisioned by yet another legendary leader back in early 1900s by the name Ralph C. Smedley. This person in the early 1900s thought of building a global community of proficient public speakers coming together in 1905 when he tried conducting the first unofficial meeting of Toastmasters on March 24, 1905. What started as a mere idea in 1905 went down for 19 years straight, becoming a reality in 1924. It was on October 22nd, 1924 when Ralph C. Smedley was able to gather 12 men and conduct the first official meeting of Toastmasters. What started as an idea became a reality is now a ravaging success. So much so, and this is especially for the benefit of the guests, there are more than 300,000 active Toastmasters members of date, present in 120 countries. And a very fun fact about Toastmasters, that there's a Toastmasters meeting going on in the world at any given point in time. So, when you think about this meeting today, you are not attending just another public speaking session, but you are part of a worldwide mission. A vision envisioned by a legendary leader more than a decade ago. Quickly coming back to the meeting at hand, a normal Toastmasters meeting consists of three major sections. It starts with a prepared speech, followed by a table topic session, ultimately culminating with an evaluation session. A prepared speech session has prepared speeches where Toastmasters, in tandem to their mentors, prepare a script, practice it well, only to deliver it today on stage in front of all of you. The prepared speech session today consists of two speeches. We'll have an icebreaker session and a pathway session. I'll explain those when I come to that. A usual Toastmaster meeting has a table topic session. For the benefit of the guests, I'll quickly explain. A table topic session is something more of an extempore, where there's a table topic master. They have a list of topics and they assign that topic to a particular Toastmaster at the get-go to talk about for a minute or two. But today we won't be having a table topic session because we have something more wonderful planned for you. We have an education session. I'll talk about that when we get there. In the end of a normal Toastmasters meeting, we have an evaluation session. And mind you, why does evaluation hold such an integral role in any Toastmasters meeting? Because no matter how much you speak, it is only when you hear back is when you learn and you're able to improve how you speak, right? Evaluation session is headed by a general evaluator. The general evaluator of today's meeting is a legendary Toastmaster. He works as a senior manager for a software company. And when I asked him about one of his dreams that he was able to realize, he said that, Aditya, I always wanted to eat healthy and stay fit. And I can vouch for it that when he comes to take the evaluation session, you all will get to see that he's leading a very healthy life. Introducing the general evaluator for today, please give a big round of applause for Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri. A general evaluator's role is aided by a tag team. A tag team consists of a timer, an R counter, and a grammarian. Joining us today as timer, we have a speechcraft marvel, a person who works as a project manager for a consultant for a construction company, and just like a general evaluator today, he also hopes of leading a healthy and fit life, which we'll get to see in 1 second as he comes on stage to speak his role. Welcome, Toastmaster Suhas.
Good evening, everyone. My role is timer. My duty is to record the time throughout the meeting. For prepared speech, the time allotted is 5 to 7 minutes. For 5 minutes, I will show green card. For 6 minutes, I will show yellow card, and for 7 minutes, I will show red card. For table topic, it is 1 to 2.
We don't have a table.
We don't have a table topic. I'll be submitting the report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. The R counter for today is a budding Toastmaster. He works as a financial consultant in SAP. He hopes of becoming a risk management analyst for BlackRock in New York, a dream that I share with him, but only for Japan. Welcoming the R counter for today, Toastmaster Ghanshyam. Please give a big round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. As an R-counter, it's my duty and responsibility to listen to this meeting carefully, and at the same time, I have to observe the crutch words or the filler words as like basically, and I'll present my meeting. I'll present this report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghanshyam. Joining us today as the grammarian is a budding Toastmaster who recently got inducted in our club about a month ago. She's a law student. She has traveled the world with her family, but her lifelong vision is to travel it solo. Welcoming the grammarian for today, Toastmaster Bhavani.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I would be the grammarian for the day. I shall listen diligently to all the good usage of grammar and also listen diligently to the sins of grammar as Toastmaster International calls it. And I shall be presenting to you the report at the end of the session. And I shall also keep a tab of people who are using the word of the day. And I shall also be keeping tab of the bad usage of grammar. Thank you.
Thank you. Quickly moving into the first segment of a Toastmasters meeting, the prepared speech section. The first speech that we have today is an icebreaker speech, and this is for the benefit of the guests and an information for the existing Toastmasters, that an icebreaker session is mandatorily followed by a standing ovation. It's been a Toastmaster tradition that we help and encourage our budding Toastmasters because, guys, it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of guts to prepare a speech for 5 to 7 minutes, deliver it on stage in an audience as expansive as that we have today. So, it is our duty to encourage them, and we should be aiding an icebreaker with a standing ovation. Talking about a story today, we have a budding Toastmaster who works as a software consultant, as an associate consultant in a software company. And when I asked him that what was the one dream that he's been able to realize, the answer I got was so good. He said that he wanted to go back to his roots. And because we all are Indians, what is the common root? Agriculture. And to realize his dream, what he's been doing is he's contributing 2 days every week to do farming with his friends and family. He hopes to become independent financially, mentally, as well as physically in the next 10 years. He's hoping that he's able to achieve that. Sharing his story today. Wait a second, I didn't introduce the evaluator, right? Oh, my bad. Just quickly introducing the evaluator for today's session. We have a very good Toastmaster who's not only a part of our club, but he's also the president of a different Toastmasters club. He works as an entrepreneur, has a company of his own, and the company helps provide industrial training to college-going students. It has been a long-standing dream of his that he wanted to start a company of his own, and he was able to realize that in the last semester of his post-graduation. He hopes of becoming an industry mogul, helping people lead a happy life in various streams of life. Welcoming the evaluator for the first speech today, Toastmaster Jeevan.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Okay, so the purpose of the speech for the Toastmaster Prasad to introduce himself to the members of the Bangalore Toastmaster Club and learn the basic structure of the public stage. And all the best, Toastmaster Prasad.
The speech timing would be 4 to 6 minutes.
4 to 6 minutes.
4 to 6 minutes. Quickly recapping the introduction for Toastmaster Prasad. He loves agriculture and he definitely wants to become independent both mentally, physically, financially in the next 10 years. Sharing his story till date. Welcome everybody, Toastmaster Prasad.
Good evening, Toastmaster and dear guests. Last week we have Makara Sankranti festival. Everyone had Idu Vela and sugarcane. But when it comes to sugarcane, it's very close to my heart. I don't have sugar. Because my grandfathers were from the well-known city for sugarcane, Mandya. And my grandfathers were basically it's a land of agriculture, so basically they do farming. Then for the first line of generation, my father took the path of Bangalore more than 30 years back, and he took the studies in Bangalore. Then he came up with a job in Bangalore. Then he settled down in this city. My father is working as an junior engineer in Viscom. Whatever the qualities I have got it from my father is my analytic skills. And coming to my mother, she is a BA graduate turned out to be a homemaker. She looked over with me and my elder sister. Whatever the qualities I inherited from her is like sympathy and to have a compassion towards God. And then even though if I am having any seasonal fighting skills or argumental skills, it's because of my elder sister. Last year, we had one new member to our family. It's none other than cute little puppy Labrador. Why? Because it's good to have a pet in our home. Because when you go outside and come back, the way they welcome, it's priceless. Coming to my childhood days, being an average student in my school days, but I love to spend my weekends playing my favorite sport, cricket. After that, playing my cricket, I used to hang out with my childhood friends. I am the youngest cousin for my entire cousinhood, so they pampered me a very lot in my childhood days, and we had some terribles like cracking the firecracker went to some other place and they burned few things. So it's like some mysterious work has happened in my childhood days. Then after my school days, I joined PU. To have a life throws a new challenge every time. So to have fun, I took the biology. Knowing from the species to flora, fauna, coming to amoeba to the mammals, it's like a wonderful journey. 2 years, wonderful. And practical things which is very difficult to look is when we have a detection of frogs. It's very terrible. Having a decent score in PU, I got up engineering, and I love to take the electrical engineering work. But in the engineering first 2 years, they made us to learn apart from electrical, like CS, like civil. Even we do the building also. Later, the 2 years, we had wonderful days, unforgettable. Meeting a new people and having them as a part of life, it's something really great. There, I went on to produce went on to have a cricket tournament, and participating in few events like cultural fest, event fest, etc. After completing my engineering, the world got stuck like Corona. Everyone went and sit in their home. To utilize this time, I made that I need to prepare for some competitive exams. After that time, I realized that we need to do something. So I took up a new challenge to take masters. Having prepared few competitive exams in that time, I went to have a PGCT exam. So luckily it got clear with a good score, and I got one of the best university PS. So to take up the new challenge, I went other field like finance. So I took up the finance world, and I learned few trading works and the financial knowledge, which is helping for me now. Then I went to have a placement in the college, which is landed up in the current job. This journey just started 7 months, and to have this one also working, I am working to the US client. Then after these weekends, I do farming. Last season I just completed again. This season I have the paddy cultivation work is going. It's like spending hours with farming and nature and birds. It's like you need to get that experience. You need to feel. You will have the workload in the weekdays, and spending time with your loved ones with the weekends. It's like great. And I like to take few roles and few things I love to do. My passions. It's like I travel solo. Last 15 days back I went to Mercury. Then I do mobile photography. Then I love to read books. So now I am standing here to improve my communication and public speaking skills. So I hope I may achieve this with all your support and love. Thank you.
For sharing bits of your life with us. We genuinely hope that Toastmasters is able to help you become a prolific speaker, just like you have become a farmer. Thank you. So, thank you for what do we give Prasad for a brilliant speech like that? Moving forward with the meeting, I'd like to introduce the evaluator for the next speech. He's a legendary Toastmaster. He's my mentor, and he works as a sales professional for HCL. And one of the dreams that he's been able to realize is to travel solo when he went to Vietnam very recently last Christmas. When I asked him, like, what is it that you want to do in next 10 years, or like, what is it that you imagine to do in next 10 years, he had the answer which is analogous to mine. He said, something away from the corporate world, doing something that I'm passionate about. And honestly, I'm looking forward to that blog in Kannada. Introducing the evaluator for the second speech today. Give a big round of applause for Toastmaster Alok Simha.
Good evening, everyone. The speaker is attempting a project from level 1 of dynamic leadership. The purpose of the speech or the purpose of the project is for the member to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance the speech. All the best to the speaker. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Timer, please note that the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Now, before I go ahead and introduce the next speaker, I would like to share a small story. It was the late 1990s. Imagine, okay, just imagine with me. Let's dream of this thing together. Imagine it's the late 1990s. It's a English countryside. There's a lady, a very weak, depressed lady sitting at a railway station, and she's thinking. She's imagining a world full of wizards, spells, flying brooms, devils, and whatnot. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? J.K. Rowling, yes. The reason I'm talking about J.K. Rowling is because hers is a story of the true power of imagination. I don't know how many of you know this, but she had a very bad start. She was literally surviving on the government allowance. Her kid was taken away from her by the social services, and she even contemplated committing suicide. But from being a person such as that, she's also the first person in the world to have lost her billionaire status because of charity. The reason I quoted J.K. Rowling is because the next speaker for today's meeting hopes to live in her world. She hopes to be studying in Hogwarts, practicing spells, flying around on a broomstick, and weirdly her title of speech is also Hope. Presenting the next speaker for today, Toastmaster Sahana.
I heard a shrieking noise. There was fear in the voice. It went on for hours throughout the day. I sat out wondering what it could be, and what I found out shocked me. Around a year ago, I was hanging out with my neighbors outside my house, and we were busy playing cricket, and the ball went rolling down the road. My friend and I began to chase the ball, and there entered 3 dogs so confidently, like they owned the street. My friend, who was super scared of dogs, began to run for her life, which is the last thing one should be doing around a pack of dogs. And they began to chase us, and I also had to run for my life. We ended up going and hiding in some random house. Luckily, we were safe later. And as I got to learn about these dogs, I realized that one of them was super friendly. He was longing to be pet. The second one was quiet and chill. And the third one was extremely bipolar. Around a month later, one of these dogs gave birth to a bunch of puppies. And all the 3 were so protective of them that they would not let anybody even go near the gutter where they were all hidden. After waiting for 2 whole months, they finally decided to come out. And I was so excited that I couldn't wait to go meet all of them. Once we met, we were instant buddies. Every morning, as soon as I woke up, I would run outside my house to go check on them, feed them, and pet them. After like around a month, I could hear a squeaky crying noise that went on all day. I wasn't sure what it was. And it was around 11 p.m. and since it was crying all day, I decided to go check on them. And around 2 blocks away, I saw that it was a frail little puppy, all scared and stuck in a gutter. She looked like she had been starving for days. I took her out and I saw that she was extremely dehydrated. So I got some water and I tried to feed it to her, but she could barely move or even open her eyes. I really had my doubts if she would survive the day. I've never had a dog. I didn't know how to take care of a pet or deal with an injury. But what I did know was that I wanted to help her. I didn't lose hope. I started brainstorming all the possibilities in ways I could help her. And in my head I knew that my parents were apprehensive about dogs. And my father used to feed these dogs in my street sometimes, but I wasn't sure if he would be in for helping me. Because eye open, and luckily there was one. I ran to my father and told him, "Dad, can you please take me to the vet? This dog needs help." And whoa, surprisingly, he agreed immediately. We rushed to the hospital, and her body temperature was dropping like anything. And the vet put her on medication immediately. Later, when we went home, I requested my parents, I asked them, can I please keep her at home until she recovers? And they agreed, and I started feeding her medicines every day. A few days later, she slowly started walking, and a week later, she was back on her feet. She was clearly a fighter. She never lost hope. And that's when I named her Hope. Ever since this incident, whenever I'm down and out and I'm feeling really low in life, I think of how Hope fought back. A few months ago, I met with an injury, and I hurt my knee so bad that I could barely walk. The doctor told me that it would take me a really long time to recover completely. Me, who's extremely active physically, and I love hitting the gym and always on my toes, it was a challenge for me. But during this time, I thought of Hope's journey and how she fought back. That helped me take an extra step in my road of recovery every day. Going through a rough time can actually act as a catalyst to changing our lives to the better. We all might fall, we might fail, but the way we choose to react to them is what changes our life. Remember, there's a fighter in all of us, and there's a hope in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana, for leading us with that beacon of hope. I personally love dogs, and I'm going to think about a dog every time I'm going to be in a tough situation, because, come on, man, hope was inspiring. What do we get, Toastmaster Sana, for such a lovely speech? Yes, and fellow Toastmasters, with that we come to the end of our first half of the meeting. We'll be taking a quick networking break for 5 minutes. Timer, please note that the time is 7:12. We'll be coming back at 7:18. See you all in the next 5 minutes, please. Back from the networking break, everybody. Did you get a chance to speak to someone new? Anybody who got a chance to speak to someone that they did not know before? Can they raise their hands? This is what I love about a Toastmasters. While the table topic session would have sounded so lovely in theory when I was explaining about how a Toastmaster meeting goes, trust me when I tell you this, it is an extremely uncomfortable situation for the speaker to speak at, and to save you guys from that dilemma of having to speak instantaneously on stage today, we have a lovely education session by a very new Toastmaster but a very experienced Toastmaster. She has an extremely inspiring journey, so much so that she wrote on a piece of paper 12 years ago that she will become a proficient public speaker. She didn't definitely act on it, and she only got the trigger for it when she was put on stage at a national scale to speak in front of a bunch of audience, and that's when she realized that she had to do something. And hence she joined Toastmasters in 2020, and she joined it with such burning desire that she's the second fastest DTM of District 92. She works as an image consultant and has also been trained in data sciences and analysis. Welcoming on stage the educational speaker for today. Give a big round of applause for DTM Nancy Goyal.
Wow, that was such a hefty introduction. Isn't that? How many of you, okay, let's be not honest, how many of you are excited to know I am a coder in Python and SQL? He just introduced me as data analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineer. 2 or 3 of you, what about the rest? Doesn't matter. You
already know.
Oh, you already know. But rest of you doesn't matter. How many of you were interested to know I was the second fastest DTM in District 92? Some of you, okay? Quite a few of you. I'm impressed. Honestly, to the rest of you who didn't raise your hands, salute for being honest. I'm here as a coder? No. I'm here as an educational speaker. So what matters for you to know? What credentials do I hold to stand here? Do I actually know about contests, speech contests? Do I actually know about speeches that I'm going to talk about? Have I ever participated in any of the contests? I have participated in one contest, that this time, this year itself, and I lost. Still not impressed? So why you should listen to me? I've given you enough reasons to not listen to me at all. Now let me give you 2 reasons for you to listen to me. First, I am somebody who has mentored contest winners. In the same contest where I lost, 2 people who won are my mentees. Second reason, I have judged at Toastmasters across nations in more contests than all of you would have participated in. Put together, all of you have been a judge in so many contests. So that is the reason I'm here. Now let me break it even further. Why is it important for you to know what I do or why am I here? It's important because that's where audience connects. If I won't be able to bring that credibility as a speaker, as an educational speaker, or as any speaker, nobody would be paying attention to me. Some of you would be paying attention because I'm a coder. Ooh. Some of you would be paying attention because I've completed maybe 50 plus speeches, 3 parts, whatever. But what about rest? As a speaker, it becomes entirely important for you to connect with your audience. So this is the first rule of delivering any speech, being it evaluation speech, table topics, or the international speech. But when it comes to contests, do we get a chance to connect with our audience or introduce ourselves? Okay, I'll come to this question later. How many of you are participating in contests this year? Raise of hands. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you don't want to reveal it yet? So, 5, 6. What about rest? Maybe you want to feel encouraged for the next time after witnessing all these people. Okay, I'll leave it up to you. Have you ever witnessed any contest? Raise of hands. What about the rest? I can see a couple of you are new people here. You just joined. This is your first meeting. What you witnessed today was 2 speeches, right? When we present these speeches at a different level, contesting with other people, then it's a speech contest. We have other forms of contest as well. Most of you would know, but new people who are just joining us today, they won't know. We have evaluation contest. You will be hearing a couple of evaluations post my session, and for that also we have a contest. And third thing that you're missing is table topic. A very fine gentleman, Toastmaster Aditya, he talked about table topic. It's more of an impromptu speech contest, so we have 3 formats at District 92. So this is what we are going to talk about today. Now, if you're participating in contest or if you have ever witnessed a contest speech, you should know that there is no point that you can connect with the audience by introduction. So how can you connect with your audience? What is it that matters?
Interaction.
Interaction. Okay. Interaction. Relatability. Seeking audience interest. Okay. What else? Story. Okay. So what you are talking about are the parameters that matter in a speech contest. And these are the parameters that we are going to talk about. Let me ask you another question. I really like to interact with my audience. How many of you have heard of Ramona Smith by raise of hands? Dhananjay Hetriarchy. Keep on raising your hands if you know any of the names. Erin Beverly, Verity Price. Okay, I can take more names. Darren Lee, a Singaporean lawyer. Manoj Vasudevan. What is common in all of these speakers? These are all World Championship of Public Speaking winners for different years. But what is common amongst all? Personal stories. You are there but still not there. I'm still looking for more. Anyone else? What's common amongst all? No matter whether they are sharing personal stories or they're using body language or vocal variety, what is common?
They're all Toastmasters.
They are all Toastmasters? Okay.
Connect with the audience.
Connect with the audience. Message at the last.
They had failures and they moved forward.
Sorry?
They had failures and they moved forward.
They had failures, they have moved forward, they are inspiring.
They have completed multiple years.
They have completed multiple years.
Completed in the process.
Completed multiple. Consistency and persistency. Okay. What else?
They showed their vulnerability on the speech.
They showed their vulnerability. Okay. What else? That's all.
Speak from the heart.
Speak from the heart. Okay. Still, what I'm looking for, it's not there. Everyone who's been a winner, yes, please.
They connect with the audience.
Connect with the audience. Somebody already covered this. Okay, shall I share what is common?
Yes.
They all excelled at the judging criteria. That's the reason they are winners. Everyone, every name, they excelled at the judging criteria. Audience connect, body language, vocal variety, personal storytelling, vulnerability, inspiring, motivating. You can take all those names, but one common factor amongst all is that they excel at the judging criteria. And that is one of the reasons I'm talking about parameters that matter. So let's try to figure out what is it that matters. Okay. Are you able to see this?
No.
Can you help me?
Now it's visible.
Okay. Anyway, I'll be reading this for most of you. This will not go full screen because this is a PDF. I'll be sharing these ballots with you so that when you're contesting or even if you're planning to contest, you should know what do judges look for. No matter what level you are at, club level, area level, division level, district level, this is the same ballot they keep on giving us as judges, and we have to evaluate the contestants on these parameters. I'll start off with evaluation contest first. So how we will go about it? First, let's understand what are the parameters, and then couple of tips here and there on how you can work better on those parameters. For evaluation, how many of you have delivered evaluation? What is the general approach that you follow for evaluation? Sandwich, CRC method, commendation, recommendation, commendation. Yes?
Meeting the objective of the speech.
Meeting the objective. In a contest, we don't have any objective, any speech objective. So this doesn't apply in a contest. Good point there. But yes, the approach that we follow for evaluation is CRC. Present the speaker with some commendations, then some recommendations, and then some commendations towards the last so that the speaker leaves with a good taste, right? But does this follow the same in contest? Now let's look at the evaluation criteria. The first factor that we have with a weightage of 40 points, analytical quality, clear and focused. When we say analytical quality, what matters is how you are able to analyze the whole speech. I've seen most of the people who are evaluating any speech, they make a very common mistake. They don't pay attention to the content part. We tell them that your body language was not good enough, your vocal variety, you can probably pitch up, pitch down, pace up, pace down, all those factors. But analytical quality of any evaluation also contains a good focus on content. When we say content, whether there was a structure in the speech, whether the transitions were smooth, whether the content that the person delivered was having some purpose. All these factors, if you are able to analyze well, what happens is we get stuck. If it's a very good speaker, we don't have enough points to mention for recommendations, but so many commendations are there. But if the test speaker is not good enough, then we have so many points for recommendations, but not for commendations. And that's where there's a trap. When you are analyzing, note down the points, positives and negatives. Then ensure that you are covering at most 2 to 3 positives, 2 to 3 areas of recommendations, so that you are not using the entire time talking about just one thing. That's how you can be more analytical. Also, prioritize your points. What are the more important points to share at the moment? So this is what gets covered in the analytical quality. Whether you are clear, whether you are focused on what you want to share to the speaker and to the audience present there as an evaluator. That's first. Second factor, recommendations. The recommendations that you are sharing with the speaker, whether those are positive, specific, helpful. Now, the most common mistake that most of the people they do for recommendations, they tell what is missing. But they don't tell how and why. Why is it important to include that missing part in the speech? And how they can work on that. So a recommendation becomes helpful when you tell them that this is what you need to do. Let us suppose we talk about the opening of any speech. If the speaker was faltering at the opening of the speech, you can share a good recommendation by telling that person that if I were you, I would have provided this as the opening. For example, my speech title was, Are You Serious? Toastmaster Nancy Guel, are you serious? Are you serious? Toastmaster Nancy Guel. Now, if I were you, I would have said, no, Toastmaster of the day, I'm not serious. But are you? I would have used this opening instead of providing something generic. So when I'm telling this as an example then and there as part of my evaluation, definitely it's helpful and specific for the speaker. That's where you get an added advantage, 30 points for recommendations. Next factor that matters is technique. When you are sharing your recommendations, when you are sharing your whole evaluation, that time, what is the technique that you are following? Are you being empathetic towards the speaker? Are you being sensitive? Or are you being motivational? Some people like to go for an evaluation where they end up telling, oh, I know you can do it because this is what we see in you. So next time you go on stage, improve here, because you have the potential. That's where the evaluator is becoming motivational. However, there are certain evaluators who say, when you talked about siblings, I could totally relate to you. Why? Because I'm also the eldest sibling in the house and I knew how it felt whole of my life. So that's how they start off their evaluation. are being empathetic. Technique matters. How you are presenting your evaluation, how you are uplifting the speaker, that matters. That's why we have a weightage of 15 for the technique. Lastly, summation. We have a general approach of CRC, the sandwich method. But we have 15 points in the judging criteria for summation. We don't summarize our evaluations during club meetings. But it becomes all the more important at a contest, isn't it? You're losing 15 points if you are not summarizing your evaluation towards the end. When you are summarizing, let us suppose you have talked about 3 commendations, 2 recommendations. Summarize in the end, saying, I would like to perorate my speech, or I would like to conclude my speech by saying, you did better on this, this and this. However, you can improve on 2 factors to take your speech to the next level. Thank you. Over to the contest master. This is the judging criteria for evaluation contest. I'll be sharing this ballot sheet with you so that you know when you're preparing for evaluation contest. I got to know from your club president, club presiding officer, that you have quite a good number of participants for the contest. However, number of people who raised their hands were hardly 6 or 7. Surprising. But I hope the ones who are not yet forthcoming, they'll make some use of this ballot. Any questions on the evaluation criteria for evaluation contest? Okay, we'll cover questions towards the end. Let's move on to the second contest. This is International Speech Contest. We have almost similar criteria for International Speech Contest as well as Table Topic Contest. So I'll be covering International Speech Contest first and touching upon a little bit on the Table Topic Contest. For International Speech Contest, we have to present a speech for 5 to 7 minutes. We all know. Any doubts there? No? Good. When we say we have to present a speech of 5 to 7 minutes, one thing which is hardly mentioned to the contestants is that you don't have to speak exactly for 7 minutes or 7 minutes 30 seconds. We have cases, in fact one of the international winners, I forgot his name, he just spoke for 4 minutes 30 seconds or 31 seconds. Yet he was the winner. So ensure whenever you're writing your speech, it's not about that you need to write a lot, but it's about whether you are able to deliver the point, convey the point that you want to make through your speech or not in the given time. This is a very important point I wanted to bring to your notice. Okay, coming to the criteria, we have content 50 points, delivery 30 points, and language 20 points. The most weightage here is given to content, 50 points. Yet we focus more on delivery, creating that drama in the voice, that body language and all of it. Again, another trap that I've noticed, I've observed in most of the speakers. Let's come to the content part, 50 points, breaking it down into 3 parts. One is speech development, the first factor. In speech development, what we notice is structure, organization, and support material. What is a structure? OBC, opening, body, conclusion. Whether you had a main point, then for the sub-points, we are able to relate to those points. The development of your speech development. OBC is what most of the people know. It's very common. But the mistakes happen during transitions. Most of the speakers, they don't know how, they struggle to understand how to transition from opening to the body or body to the conclusion. That's where it becomes really challenging. So Pay more attention to the transition, whether you're making sense when you're transitioning from one part of the speech to the other. And third factor, which is mentioned in the first point, speech development, is supporting material. Whatever you are speaking, are you supporting it with facts, figures, or storytelling? Somebody just mentioned. Anything that you're bringing to the table, are you supporting your points with enough data, enough stories, experiences, or not? That's first. Second thing that matters in content is effectiveness. Achievement of purpose, interest, and reception. What is effectiveness? This is something that you can't bring in your speech directly, but you can make your speech effective with audience connect. If your audience is able to perceive the purpose of your speech, if you have a takeaway, if you are being vulnerable, how your audience is responding to what you are speaking. As I can see, most of you are either bored or so keenly interested in the session. That's what my audience looks like to me. Your audience reception is captured in the effectiveness of your speech. Now here, sometimes judges are not able to see the audience. But remember, they are your audience too. If you are able to make them laugh, if you are able to make them feel, if you are able to achieve the purpose of your speech in front of them, because they are also your audience, you'll get the points. Next is speech value. Idea, logic, original thought. Whenever you're presenting a speech, are you bringing anything original to the table? Or is it something very generic we keep on hearing? Something like grow more trees. Okay, we know. That's where the challenge lies. Most of us, we talk about motivational thoughts from our personal experiences. How can we be original? We can be original when we bring our personal experiences in detail. When we are bringing that visual image through our words. When we are ensuring that whatever we are speaking, we are meaning that. This is not only through the content, it is mostly through the content if you are including that visual imagery, but it is also through your delivery. That's where your delivery style matters. Now in the delivery factor, it's the same. Physical, your body language, how comfortable are you with the body language. Here, one tip, don't try to impose any kind of gesture on you unless you're comfortable with it. Either practice it enough or leave it. Just because your mentor told you to do it and you're not able to imbibe that in your body language, skip that part for now because it shows. Voice. Second factor in delivery is voice. Flexibility, volume, or rather I should say pitch, pause, power, pace. If you are not comfortable creating a lot of drama, don't do that. Don't do that. If your voice is powerful enough, use that. Use your strength. If you are a slow speaker, like I am, it's okay. Because this is our natural way of speaking. If you speak a little fast, like Shashank here, that is also okay. For as long as people are able to make out what you are saying, it's okay. So be confident with your natural style of body language and your vocal variety. Try to imbibe over the time when you're practicing these things, but don't try to do it right before the contest because it shows up. Lastly, in delivery, manner, directness, enthusiasm, assurance. If I'm delivering something sad, something disappointing, a very bad experience of my life, it's not showing in my micro expressions at all. I have a subtle smile on my face but I'm talking about something sad, that's a mismatch. Or if I'm talking about something exciting, again, no expression on the face. That enthusiasm will not show up. So manner, again, in your delivery, it matters. Lastly, we have language, 20 points for language. Straightforward. Appropriateness. Appropriateness means you're not being derogatory towards anyone. You are taking cognizance of your audience. You are understanding their interest. And you are being respectful of the others. Whether that was appropriate for the given audience, whether your speech was appropriate for the given audience or not, this is where you are marked 10 points. Lastly, grammar. The least weightage is given to grammar. Again, 10 points. Grammar, whether you are using extremely powerful words, whether you are using correct grammar, whether your pronunciation is correct or not. For some people, they are afraid that they have mother tongue influence. But it's okay. If you can excel at rest of the points, this is hardly 10 points. If you are afraid of public speaking just because of that, if you are afraid of participating in a contest just because of that, come forward. Because you can name rest of the factors and you can learn it. This is about international speech contest. And lastly, I'll talk about table topics. I've covered all these points. Here, the points that matter are speech development and effectiveness, physical and voice when it comes to delivery part, and appropriateness and correctness, grammar, language, all of that in the language part. That's about table topic. But when you are attempting table topic, the effectiveness factor differs. How it differs? In prepared speeches, you can make your speech effective as per the audience because you know what you're going to talk about. But in table topics, we don't know the topic. It's impromptu. I was a judge at a contest recently, and there was a topic. Let me recall that topic. Okay, it was something like try to work hard. There is less traffic. It's not overcrowded at the top. That was the topic. And most of the table topic speakers, they talked about how they need to try working hard, how they have tried working hard. And not even a single participant talked about how it's less crowded there. And that's where effectiveness suffers. If you are able to pay attention to the topic and then talk about it, half the job done. Because effectiveness is important. You'll be able to develop your speech accordingly only if you listen to the topic fully. So that's one very important point I wanted to bring to the table for table topics.
Yes, just a question on that point. So a lot of times we see that topic is A and speaker talks about C, right? Especially in table topics. So that's going to be only 25 points. This person is going to be linked because the other aspects of the speech may be super duper good as per the guidelines. But I was saying that out of 100, this person will end up with 75.
That's a wonderful question there. So if your content is fabulous and your delivery is not there, would you just gain 25? It's 55. And if it's vice versa, if your content is completely rubbish, not at all relevant to the topic, but your delivery is top notch, would you get points? Now let's talk about the second part of it, because like I said, content is 55. Delivery, if it's not there, still you can make it. It's 45. Grammar and other things, you'll still gain some points there for the first part of the question. Second part, where your delivery is top notch but content is rubbish. 1 point is that you lost 55 points there. Second, how would your delivery be in congruence with what you talked? Because what you were supposed to talk about was completely different. Should you be getting any points there? No. Because your delivery was in congruence with the content you talked about, but the content was still not effective enough. It was not the one. You didn't get the topic right. You'll also suffer loss at delivery and other factors too. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So this is about the speech contest, table topic contest and evaluation contest ballots. These are the parameters that matter. So when you are preparing your next speech, especially for the speech contest, ensure that you know the parameters and then you start understanding what is it that you want to present to the audience. When you are preparing for evaluation contest, you know that you need to summarize towards the end. And when you are going for table topic contest, you need to understand that these are the parameters that matter. Even if you are not being that enthusiastic as you need to be in speech contest, it's still okay because that's not a parameter in table topics contest. I'll be sharing these ballots with you. I'll open the floor for questions. Any questions on the ballots? Any questions on the speech contest, evaluation contest, or table topic contest?
I have a question.
Okay, I'll take your question first.
So you said that you quoted an example of a speaker just taking 4 minutes 30 seconds and still winning the competition. Doesn't that incur a penalty because you are stopping short of that? And that is something that we reprimand quite frequently here in our meeting speeches.
30 seconds grace, both sides.
Okay.
5 to 7 minutes. If you are stopping at 7 minutes 30 seconds, not crossing till 7 minutes 31 seconds, still you qualify. Same way, 4 minutes 30 seconds you qualify.
So, sir, you just mentioned that you have evaluated a lot of contests. So, I'd like to get your take on this. Suppose there is a speech topic for the table topic. Who is your influencer? Whether it's Mother Teresa or Adolf Hitler. And there are 10 speakers. 9 speakers come on stage and obviously say Mother Teresa because she has helped the world and a lot of charity. But there's one speaker who speaks of Adolf Hitler is my kind of like whom I really adore. So is he going against, since he's going against the flow, will it act as a deterrent to him be a winner in the contest or how does it?
Okay, that's a wonderful question where he is asking if in a table topic contest, 9 people are talking about one factor while the 10th person is talking about second factor when given a choice. Would that choice will help him win the contest or would that be a deterrent factor? That's very subjective to look at. If you look at one of the speeches, one of the winners, I was talking about a Singaporean lawyer who won international speech contest, World Championship of Public Speaking. His name was Darren Lee. You can search. He wore an underwear on top of level 4 suit. Can you pull that off? Silence in the room. Look at yourself. He delivered the speech, won the contest at world level. Did that one particular factor help him? Probably it did. But if he were not able to pull that off that well, that would have been the biggest factor for him to lose the contest too. So it's not the choice that you're making. If I were you, if I have to speak about Mother Teresa or Adolf Hitler, I would have said, who do I follow as a leader? Probably none of them. Because I follow Toastmaster Nagesh or Toastmaster Suresh. If they are not the contestants, for sure, please make note one of the factors in judging criteria. There's a protest in case you are referring to another contest who is participating in the same contest during the same tenure. Don't do that. Otherwise, you can always take names from the audience or contest master, chief judge, you can call their names. But now, none of the judges, still you don't know the judges, so you can't take their names. But don't refer to any contestants. To answer your question, there are multiple ways when it comes to table topics. You can take one way, the other way, or the highway. It's up to you. But how well are you able to put together your thoughts? That matters. Now, when it comes to table topics, the most common technique that you can use to attempt a table topic is prep. Point, reason, example, point. You mentioned that you would follow Adolf Hitler as a leader. Share subsequent reasoning for the point that you are conveying, followed by example, and then try to emphasize the same point so that it sticks to the audience mind. So it doesn't matter if you are choosing Mother Teresa or Adolf Hitler or Toastmaster Nagesh here, it's okay, for as long as you are able to convey your point. Any other questions?
Yeah, this question is on evaluation. It's not so much on as far as the contest is related. I just want to know, the evaluator, does he evaluate the speaker based, or the speech based on where he comes from? Now, suppose if I'm coming from a very anglicized background and the speaker's output is not up to the mark, so do my prejudices weigh in very heavily, or how can an evaluator put away these prejudices and get very, very objective?
Okay, let me rephrase your question. Are you trying to understand this more from a judge's perspective? If you are a judge and you are evaluating the evaluator, or as an evaluator, you need to keep your biases aside or not?
Exactly.
Okay, that's what you are asking. Okay, his question is, when you are evaluating a speaker, that's very natural for us to have biases. So shall we keep those biases on when evaluating a speaker's speech? The most important factor when it comes to evaluating a speaker is to identify that speaker's strengths and weaknesses through the speech itself. Like I said, not everyone can master drama. We have a wonderful Toastmaster, Toastmaster Percy Gotuako. I have been a big fan of him. I don't know if most of you know him. He is excellent in dramatics. The way he is able to pull off micro expressions, I can't even imagine. So if he is evaluating me as a speaker, his background in dramatics, if he's talking only about the drama in my voice, in my expressions, would that be benefiting me as a speaker if he's the evaluator? No. That's why identify where the speaker is coming from. Identify that speaker's strengths and weaknesses. And we also have project objectives, but since we're talking about speech contest, there it doesn't matter. So what you need to see that this is the speaker, and you can always look at the speaker and make out the potential of the speaker by looking at the person, that this person is speaking new or this person is a little experienced one. You can understand that from the speaker's way of speaking, style of delivery. Understand those factors and then deliver the evaluation, keeping your biases, keeping your experience. Use your experience to help the speaker. That's what I would like to say. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
How would you overcome, say, as an evaluator, the halo effect you would have on a speaker? In a sense, say for example, I'm evaluating your speech. Now I know Nancy Goel is a PTL. I know that you're a speaker who's done so many competitions. So there's already a prejudice in my my mind saying, okay, this speech is going to be excellent. Now, how do I counter that kind of bias? This is one kind of bias where the speaker has his own background.
There are more than 8 kind of biases we have when it comes to biases. But since you are asking about the halo effect we have, when it comes to contest, we never mention where the speaker is coming from. We never mention the credentials of the speaker. When I was participating in the contest, nobody knew that I just received my DTM flag. So that is one of the reasons we don't mention the credentials of the speaker, so that as an evaluator you don't have that halo effect. Does that answer your question?
I mean, you could still know the speaker personally off stage, right? So that's.
Then your contest master is not doing a good job. Because if you know the speaker well, then you already have some leverage over others. And that shouldn't happen. Either all the speakers, all the evaluators should know the speaker, or none of them should know the speaker. But otherwise, you need to check with your contest master or contest chair, because this is not how it should happen. Okay. Right? Any other questions? We still have 5 more minutes, I suppose.
Can a person hold multiple ISCs?
Can a person go in multiple speech contests?
And win, like an international speech contest, multiple times.
Okay, so if you have already won the contest at international level, then you can't. For Manoj Vasudevan, Verity Prize, once they have won the contest, they can't participate again. That's a rule. But at club level, if you have lost in one of the contests, you can probably participate in other area, other club, provided you are not a district officer. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Are we good?
What is this jargon called DTM, CRC? First time I heard of it.
DTM means Distinguished Toastmaster. We have Toastmasters as prefix that we use, but once you achieve a certain level, you are given a special title that's called Distinguished Toastmaster. We have a criteria for the same. Since it's not part of this educational session, I would like to share that criteria with you offline during the networking session.
So, what does it take to become your mentee?
We can discuss this also offline. I generally don't say no. The only challenge is the bandwidth, how much I'm able to cover.
So those who are participating first time in the contest, what kind of preparation is required? Because many of them are already contesting and trying for it. But what kind of session that you wish to give?
For first time participants, my approach has always been to understand what is the judging criteria before participating in any contest. Being it you go for CAT, being it you go for engineering exam or FCAT or whatever. You need to first understand what are they looking for before preparing yourself for it. So that's been my approach. But to answer your question, how they can prepare themselves, there are multiple ways to prepare for first time participants. One, there is a criteria for you to complete 2 levels at Toastmasters. Why is it there? It covers certain projects like speech purpose, it covers projects like evaluation, evaluating others, it covers projects like body language, introduction to body language, vocal variety. I would urge all those new participants to understand those factors, go through the content, understand there is a reason that we have a level 2 criteria, because all these things matter when you are speaking. Second thing that matters is how many times are you practicing it. If you have a mentor, well and good. Because your mentor can point out certain areas in your body language, your delivery or content and tell you that this is where you need to improve upon. But in case you don't have a mentor yet, some people are still looking for mentors here, that time you can check your speech with so much intent and interest, as much you want to listen to your favorite speaker. If not yet, you can still work on your speech or share it with a friend. Your friends, when you're sharing it with a third person, that person can always tell you certain areas if you don't have a mentor. Practice your speech, write it, practice the expressions, practice the body language, practice the pauses, practice the content. You need to be comfortable with what you're speaking. Unlike these educational sessions where you can afford to make a mistake, in speech contest you have 5 to 7 minutes. Make the most of those 5 to 7 minutes. You can do that only if you practice it enough that when you are enunciating any word, you know what you're speaking. So that's what I would like to say.
Thank you for the wonderful talk. I had a question. You mentioned CRC is the most common way to do the evaluation. Are there any other formats to do it, or is CRC the only accepted format for an evaluation?
There are multiple formats that you can use, and in fact you can come up with your own format too. Not that you have to follow CRC, you need to see what will work the best for the speaker. I've seen many evaluators who have come on stage and mentioned, let's skip to the good part, and then bash the speaker like anything with the areas of recommendations. Is that commendation? No. Starting with the recommendation part and then maybe summary, no commendations at all. That's your style of speaking, or that person's style of speaking. Or maybe that is good enough for the speaker. Some speakers like to be challenged. So you can follow another format. It's not that you have to go with CRC only. You can also go for CRS. You can also provide certain pointers on not just feedback but feed forward. Something that you want to challenge the speaker on, not just something that was limited to this particular speech. I have delivered evaluations where I've mentioned that for this one particular speech, I know whatever you have done, it's the best. These are the positive points, these are the areas of recommendations, but as a speaker, there are certain elements that you can also improve upon, given your content would have been different. That's the feed forward. For the given content, given delivery, you have provided C and R. But what is next? Feed forward. Challenge the speaker with something else. Going further, try something else. So you can also provide feed forward kind of thing. Or summarize the session. So it's up to you how you want to evaluate the speaker. But for the contest, this is what we recommend, that you need to have certain areas of recommendations, certain positive points, it should be uplifting, and you should be summarizing. 4 factors. Does that answer your question? Any other questions? Okay, I would like to summarize the session with one point that I loved from Verity Price session once. Your speech needs to be sincere. It doesn't need to be sensational. Just be sincere with your speech. Thank you.
Did you guys enjoy the session? Yes. How many of you have heard of the Feynman technique? Does people here know the Feynman technique? So there was this renowned physicist called Richard Feynman, and he had this very simple technique of learning by teaching others. Okay, so it is when you get to know the nuances of a particular game or a particular skill, is when you can go ahead and change the parameters and come out with the most optimum result. Any Brad Pitt fans out here? Like anybody who loves Brad Pitt? Have you guys watched this movie called Moneyball? The baseball movie where he hires a data analyst and he understands that it doesn't matter how how hard my players hit. It is how consistently that they can hit is how he changes a game, right? And what DTM Nancy Gold did today was exactly that. I'll take my own example for that matter. For those of you who have heard me speak earlier, know that I have a loud voice. If I were to remove this mic and keep on speaking, I can still fill the room. But one of the reasons why I chose to use this mic, and I love Alok for giving me this recommendation, while I was offended at first that why am I being asked to use a mic, it is when I realized that though my strength is room filling voice, my weak pointers are my vocal variety and the way I speak. And by switching my energies away from having to speak loud, I can focus on more vocal variety. So what Nancy did today was she gave us the list of parameters we all can toggle with. And what do we give DDM Nancy Goel for such a wonderful session? Token of gratitude to DDM Nancy Goel. I'd like to invite Toastmaster Nazneen and Toastmaster Shashank Bhatt on stage. Nancy, would you oblige us with your presence? Now that we know the parameters that on which one can be judged upon, it is time to call the soup Nazi for the day, for those who get the Seinfeld reference. We are heading into the last section of our meeting, the evaluation session, and as I had mentioned at the beginning of the speech, beginning of this meeting, that an evaluation session is headed by a general evaluator. Just a quick recap on his vision or his imagination, that he wanted to stay fit, lean and healthy. And I have promised you guys that you're going to see it for yourself. So guys, please see it for yourselves and welcome the general evaluator of today, Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. On August 28, 1963, there was this one visionary speaker speaking in front of 250,000 people, trying to influence them. And this marked the history in the United Nations chapter. So I'm talking about none other than Martin Luther King Jr. He spoke about that I have a dream. And this is a very special week because 3rd Monday of January, we celebrate his birthday. We just celebrate birthday. And no wonder it relates to our theme, the power of imagination. So he had imagined of a society which is free of racism. And here we are celebrating the Toastmaster meeting where we're talking about the power of imagination. So meeting number 1360 started bang on time at sharp 6:30. And what I like really about this particular meeting is Toastmaster Chirantan coming on stage, drawing all our attention to the meeting by clapping his hand. All of us were scattered here and there, speaking about how our weeks were, catching up with our friends, and trying to know new people in the room. And drawing attention back into the meeting by clapping was a very good attempt in bringing our attention to the meeting. That was the start of the meeting. With that, I'd like to say Toastmaster Chirantan, who has taken up the role of a silent arms for this term, has done all the basic things what a silent arm has to do very well. He started by talking on theme for the meeting. All his stories were original, where he spoke about health, work, and how the speaking, how coming into Toastmaster is going to help him to develop one of the visions what he has for his life. And to conclude it all, he had a strong message how to reap benefits of whatever you are doing in your life is one of the most important things in your life. Having said that, what are those nuances that you can work on? What are the finer points which will help you take your silent skill to a next level. So you are here for 6 months, and 6 months is your stage time. This initial 3 minutes, what you're going to be there, it's your time. And what I urge you is, the 3 rules which you generally speak about, like switch off the phone, no cross talks, well, whenever the speaker goes off stage, upload. Try to use novel techniques in order to communicate it here. Because even you will get bored of saying the same thing every time, so that you cultivate novel ways. Say, suppose, like if I were you, like I have to say, don't use mobile, I will get a ringtone. Okay, this was distraction. Ladies and gentlemen, please avoid this. This is one of the ways in which you can make it very interesting. The second, please avoid telling that I am Chirant and like I am the silent answer, because we all know that you are so and so and this. This can be avoided because that's a repetition of what we already know. And the third and the most important thing is preparation. So whenever we are giving any speech here, like the preparation is the one thing which is easily visible. The flow actually tells us how prepared we are. So if we are able to prepare, like we have a story, we have a theme, we have a topic to speak, it's all good. But we rehearse and ensure that we are onto it with little bit of distraction, without any distraction in the people's mind, so that people should not feel that I'm thinking on it. That will take our speech and performance to the next level. But for excellent thing, what Chirantan has been doing in this term for the 3rd time, ladies and gentlemen, what does Toastmaster Chirantan deserve? And Toastmaster Chirantan had a very novel way of introducing the presiding officer, where he spoke about how this particular presiding officer for the day has relevance with the theme and everything. Then we had the Toastmaster Shashank, who took today's mantle as a presiding officer for the day in the absence of the president. What I liked most about the presiding officer is like he was welcoming all the guests, and he had a lot of personal story and a very relatable thing. He kept it interactive. So this makes his particular speech a precedent in making kind of a speech. Like, so he is president in making, where he has all those elements which a presiding officer has to have. But having said that, like, what is that one thing what I can nitpick on all the great things what you have done is, someone already mentioned about the fast speaking. Like, fast speaking is good, but sometimes because the audience is a mix of slow listeners and fast listeners who can grasp a lot of things. So if you can be slightly toned down your speed, it will be great. And also the movement. So what generally happens is, when we are on stage, we want to deliver our content very fast. So we try to move, see people left, right. So what happens is, it acts as a distraction for few of the speakers. So if we can avoid and reduce the rapid movement between left and right, that can be a icing on the cake. For the great presiding address, what we heard from the President Toastmaster, Presiding Officer Toastmaster Shan, what does Toastmaster Shan deserve? So moving on to the Sutradhar, the thread in the beats of the meeting, Toastmaster Aditya. Toastmaster Aditya, he was like I was in a TED Talk session, like his voice is so loud and clear that people at the end, that mic acted as just a kind of a for namesake. Like his throw was easily audible till the last. So Toastmaster Aditya has a very gripping voice, and a command and control over your story is top notch. That was shown in your preparation and the kind of thing what you did before the meeting itself. Like, you reached all the role takers and you were consistent until they gave you the response. You kept on following and ensure that your preparation is top notch. You had a story of Google, and you connected it very well to the theme of the day. So that makes the theme lot more relevant and understandable to the people. So these are some very strong points. So along with that, what I really liked about your speech is like explaining the different segments of the speech and ensuring that people, there are a lot of guests here, There may not be a table topic session, but still explaining them, the table topic session is very good. So having said that, what is that one thing what I can suggest is you don't require a mic. So that was you don't require a mic for your speech. Like you have a very good throw, and apart from that, yes, your Toastmaster speech was excellent. For that excellent speech, what Toastmaster Aditya did, his performance was moving on to the first segment of today's speech. First segment of the speech was prepared speech, and to evaluate Toastmaster Prasad, can we call upon stage the evaluate Toastmaster Jeevan?
Toastmaster Prasad. A farmer take due attention while raising his crop. Like the same, you had given due attention by giving your first speech successfully by having right thought in your script. Congratulations for that. I would like to evaluate your script in two ways. One, you excelled at, and number two, where you can improvise it. Number one, bringing the farmers into the picture, and you said, Shankranti picture you brought into it, and you said, we grow sugarcane. This is one of the easiest way to get connected to the audience by your places. And I was guessing, what is your place? It's a Tamil Nadu. No, you are Mandya. Then I got connected to myself. Using analogy to introduce your place is one of the best way where you can easily remember audience. Number two, bringing the importance of why power into the script. Sometimes we recall you because why you mentioned that statement. You said you introduced your father, your mother, and your sibling as well as the two puppies. And you said, I learned empathy skill from my mother. I learned analytical skill from my father. And I learned fighting skill from my sister. And I learned a passion or loving skill from the dog. And this imbibed in my mind because there was an emotion in your script. And number three, your passion. You said, I love agriculture. Why I love agriculture? When I was doing it, I got connected to the nature. I got connected to the birds. And it expanded my horizon, my relationship with the nature. This statement was amazing. Adding to it, where you can improvise it. I was very curious, you mentioned about where did you did your schoolings and your college. At the last you mentioned PES college. And I was eagerly waiting to hear where you work. As our DTM Nancy said, connecting to the audience plays very important role. If you have mentioned where did you work, that had added you much connected to the audience. Some people might be working in the same organizations, that connections might be improved. And number four, structure of the speech. From to the Mandya, to the parents' introduction, to the passion of your agriculture. There was ending with why you joined the Toastmaster, to improvise your public speaking skill. And this structure was well, and kudos to it. At last, Toastmaster Prasad, let this DDMC with the agriculture land sow the seed of public speaking skill and nurture it under your guidance of mentor. We as a members are always there to cherish your success, and I over to the general evaluator.
That was a very comprehensive evaluation. We heard flora, fauna, family, finance, and president from a flower club, daffodils. So with that, thank you for that evaluation. Can you have another round of applause? So to evaluate the next speaker, Toastmaster Sana, can you call upon the stage the wanderlust of work club, Toastmaster Arun Sima.
Very good evening, everyone, and Toastmaster Sana in particular. Well, Sana, it was a story of hope about hope and the entire device of storytelling that you used through your speech connected with me, so that was a great starting point for me to evaluate the speech. There was a lot of attention to detail and a vivid description of the entire scenario, right from how your friends found the pub to the injury that he suffered and to how he recovered and eventually to your injury as well. So there was an excellent description, a detailed, vivid picture that you created for us, and that again was wonderfully done. There were also attempts at humor, the usage of phrases like extremely bipolar, that stood out for me in particular, but the usage of humor in your entire speech was well received by the audience. The best part again was the correlation between the entire incident of the pub and how you learned a lesson from that scenario and employed that in your life when you suffered an injury. So I think that again from a content perspective was well done. Now the objective of the speech specifically calls for usage of vocal variety and body language. Where you did well was, I believe your voice was extremely well suited to the cheerful part of the entire story. The tempo of your voice, the nature of your voice was very well suited for most part of the speech. So that was I felt the highlight of the speech. And the usage of pauses and also the use of emphasis on certain words, that stood out. So you had the right emphasis on certain words at the right places, and most of the pauses were well done. From a body language perspective, you tried to use the stage well, covered most part of the stage, and there was also an attempt at using gestures. Again, that covered the objectives for the speech. Now, if I were to give you some feedback, especially from a vocal variety and body language perspective, now while your vocal variety worked well for the cheerful part of the speech, when you came to the problem aspect, say when Hope suffered an injury, your voice, for me, still sounded the same. So if I were to bend my face and not look at you when you were delivering the speech, I could not find a lot of difference between the cheerful part of the speech and where there was a problem. Maybe you could have tried to induce a little more sadness or apprehension in your tone, or maybe you could have used a lot more pauses during that stretch of your speech. Now, one suggestion I could give you is probably when you're practicing the speech, you can record it and listen to the speech. Not a visual recording, but more of an audio recording, so that you know the tone of your voice when you're delivering the different segments of your speech. That could be one suggestion. Now, secondly, I also felt that there were some unintended pauses. I don't know if it was because you were nervous or you were forgetting aspects of the speech. There were some unintended pauses that could have been worked upon. And now this is something that is a feedback to myself as well. There was a usage of this word "and" a lot. You used, I might have counted about 20 of them in your speech. I think the counter might have more feedback on that, but there were a lot of "ands" that were in the speech which could have been reduced. The challenge itself, maybe you could choose a topic that could help you bring in more elements of body language. That could be one suggestion. But all in all, it was an excellent attempt at bringing out vocal variety and body language with the device of storytelling, and I think that resonated with me and the rest of the audience as well. So congratulations on the speech, well done, and looking forward to more speeches.
Thank you, Toastmaster, for that crisp and concise evaluation, and thank you for that wonderful speech, Toastmaster Sahana. So with that, we move to this segment of the meeting where I'd like to call on the tag team for the evaluation. Let me call on timer Toastmaster Suhas.
Good evening, everyone. As a timer, I'm very happy to say that everyone were within the time limit. Thank you.
For the next report, can I call upon our counter Toastmaster Grisha?
Back again with report. I have divided this segment in two parts: less than 5 and more than 5. So less than 5, TM Shashank, DTM Nancy, TM Vijay, TM Jeevan, and TM Alok. That's all.
On the stage, Toastmaster Bhavani for the grammarian.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Today's session was a feast in terms the good usage of words and grammar. So let's look at the good usage of words and grammar today. Ballistic, ingenious, ravaging, passionate, prolific, frail, priceless, ambition, enhance, contemplate, shrieking, apprehensive, vacant, dilemma, instantaneously, hefty, mantle, reprimand, jargon, congruence, vivid, nuances, bipolar, squeaky, pack of dogs, charity, analogous, icing on the cake, take up the challenge, brainstorm, burning desire. And now let's look at the grammatical errors. The grammatical errors in today's session are more often the most common grammatical errors in English, with terms of like pronunciation, not interaction, interaction, not vulnerability, vulnerable, not comfortable, comfortable. And then the use of double superlatives, not little faster, faster. So that is my report, and the word of the day, as I also forgot to introduce the word of the day, apologies on that. Ethereal is the word of the day, and the meaning of ethereal is delicate and unrelated to the world. So you could probably use something like, the trek in Coorg was an ethereal experience. So there was only one Toastmaster who used this, and that was our TMOD, and I conclude my report. Thank you.
Like the password for today's voting link is vision. So kindly vote for the best role takers, best speakers. So can we have another round of applause for the tag team which was cognizant of the So imagination is nothing about dreams, and action is that bridge that will connect your dreams into reality. With that, I hand over back the mantle to the Toastmaster of the day. Vision. Toastmaster.
Was it just me, or did Vijay look really fit? Have you all voted yet? Those of you who have voted, can you please confirm? Yea or nay? Yea or nay? Yay? Cool. With that, my time on this stage for the day comes to an end. I'm extremely grateful to Toastmaster Shashank for giving me this opportunity, and I'm really glad to having interacted with you and sharing the key stories when they come to my mind when I hear the word power of imagination, the ones that they inspired me with you all today. Hope you all had fun. Giving back to Toastmaster Shashank. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya, for such a wonderful Toastmaster of the Day performance. Now we have one quick announcement. I will call upon Toastmaster Priyanka Ranore to make the announcement.
This announcement is from the Division B event that is being that is going to take place next week. Next week, Jan 26th, we have an education session by one of the world champion speakers. I request all of you to actively participate because we have the contest coming the following week. So this is the announcement. Thank you so much.
It's time for awards. The best evaluator award goes to Toastmaster Alok Sinha. The best auxiliary role taker, this tag team, goes to our grammarian Toastmaster. best role taker award goes to Toastmaster Vijay Kalpundri. And finally, the best speaker award goes to Toastmaster Sahana Duman. Thank you everyone for coming here, attending this meeting and making this meeting a grand success. Before we conclude, we have snacks which will be served, and snacks is sponsored by the PR team of our club. I now adjourn meeting number 1360.